how markets have been going on for the last 3-4 days. Hello and welcome. You are watching Business Plus here on News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar and I'm being joined by my colleague and friend Suyash Maheshwari in the studios. And we, as always, begin with a check of how the stock markets closed the trading session. Suyash, talk to us. Not a very good opening for the markets. Markets opening in the red. How did they close?
So Krishna, after remaining directionless for the majority of the trade, Indian markets witnessed some sort of a buying interest in the afternoon session, and bulls charged back, taking the index higher up about 0.5%.
That's right.
And as a result, the markets were able to close in the green for the 5th consecutive session. Now at today's close, Nifty was up about 0.57% above the 19,720 mark, whereas Sensex gained about 0.58% above the 66,250 level mark. Now Nifty mid cap and the small cap moved largely in line with the markets, and they were up 0.77% and 0.47% respectively. Now talking about the major participants of today's rally, it was the Nifty banking index. The banking index has not participated in the 5-day run, but today we saw some interest at lower levels, and as a result the Nifty banking index was able to close almost 1.06% higher. Another few sectors that participated in today's rally was Realty, which closed about 1.5% higher, PSU banks, which gained about 1.2%. FMCG stocks and pharma stocks, on the other hand, Krishna, saw some profit booking. They have been the major drivers in the last 4 days, but today we saw some selling in some of the headlining counters. Now, one of the sectors that I was tracking, Krishna, was the oil and the oil manufacturing companies. Now, the stocks were down almost 10%, although they saw a sharp rebound and were closed largely flattish. Now the reason why they fell about 10% in today's trade is obviously because of the crude prices, which have scaled almost a 10-month high. Now oil manufacturing companies, what this means for these companies is that their input cost has increased, and as we know that the retail fuel price has largely remained stable. So their input cost is rising, but their selling their selling price has not been able to rise. As a result, the profit margins have squeezed, and that's a big dampener for the sector. And I was just looking at a report, Krishna, in Q2 profit margins in the petrol has come down by 45%, whereas margins in diesel have turned negative in Q2. So that was a major dampener, but we saw some buying interest at lower levels, and as a result the stocks were able to close on a flattish note. Now talking about the top gainers and losers in today's trade, Krishna, was Coal India, which has been on a 3-day gaining streak. In the past 3 days, the stock has rallied more than 17%. Today, it touched a 4-year high. And Larsen & Toubro was another stock that was in the news today. The stock rallied over 4% after news made rounds that Saudi, it is likely to bag a deal with Saudi Aramco, which is worth around 24,000 crores. Other gainers in the blue chip segment were IndusInd Bank, SBI Life and SBI. Right. Now talking about losers, the top loser in today's segment was Tata Consumer Products. After the stock fell about 2% after the company denied that it is in talks with Haldiram to take over the majority stake in the company. ONGC fell about 1%. Britannia was one among the FMCG names which took a beating today. The stock witnessed profit booking at higher levels. Sun Pharma, same story, profit booking in pharma space. Higher levels, we are seeing profit booking over there. Mahindra & Mahindra in the auto space was also among the losers in the blue chip space.
Any particular reason for Mahindra & Mahindra in this space apart from FMCG and pharma?
So the auto sector has been largely range bound in the last couple of weeks, and as a result, whenever we are seeing any sort of a rally, bears take charge and bring down the prices. Right. More or less, they are trading in a range-bound mode.
All right. In fact, that's the story for the whole markets, isn't it, Suyash? The entire markets the broader markets have been in a range-bound way for the last couple of weeks, at least, to say the least. Let's now take this across to the big guest joining us live on this broadcast here, Suyash, on Business Plus on News 9 Live. We have Mr. Sanjiv Bhasin, Director, IIFL Securities Ltd. Mr. Bhasin, thank you so much for taking time out to speak to us here on Business Plus on News 9 Live. Great to have you over here. I want to begin by asking you, your outlook on the markets based on how they've been trading in a largely range-bound manner without any big global cues or for that matter local cues, so to speak. And many analysts pointed to the fact that for now it's going to be all about stock-specific action. What's your take, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. So you're missing the woods for the trees. When in my 30 years have I seen such a big move on the mid caps, and they are refusing to fall. Look at PSU Railways, look at PSU Defense, look at PSU Oil. You name the stock and you name the basket on PSUs. Since Prime Minister Modi, mentioned in a lighter vein to buy PSU stocks, they've been on fire. And people are misreading the movement on the Nifty at 19,300 to 700. Well, the Nifty has finally broken out, and you will see 20,000 coming now in the second half of September or maybe before. But like I said, the feeling of missed out is humongous. Mutual funds have been sitting on cash, and the new money is more directed towards mid caps, where you can pick and choose your winners on a daily basis. It is a little bit frothy, but that's the way of the market. The under ownership is seeing a lot of people now joining in the party, and hence you're seeing that the mid cap outperformance. For today, I think we definitely have outperformed. Given that weak global cues, high oil prices, bond yields rising, the markets are refusing to ignore that, are refusing to accept that, and are moving beyond that. So today was the strongest day I've seen on the Nifty in a long time, and I think that now 20,000 as a hurdle is going to be maybe breached in the next week, 10 days.
So, right. Just a follow-up question to that. There is also talk about overheating in the markets, especially in the small cap stocks, and that possibly being a threat for a market rally so far, which has been worth over $770 billion.
Well, in a bull market, you will always have the proverbial people of overheating, and there will be periodic corrections. But it's not happening. That's what we are all waiting for, and that's what most people are on the sideline. Look at the foreign investors, the whole undertone. They've been bearish on IT, and IT mid-cap are hitting new highs. Same is the case with PSUs. PSUs have been the darling of the market after I don't know how many years. I've been in the market 34 years. The last 2 years only belong to PSU, and they are refusing to relentlessly, just move in one direction. So yes, even I'm in the camp that there could be a little bit of fraud, but this is where you have to be discerning. You have to own stocks. Look, in bull markets, the only people who really make money are the ones who can sit on their positions. So you have to sit on good stocks, see the underlying, see the type of macros which are changing, and see the flows. For once, it is not, in the last 2 years, it's not the foreigners, it's the local investors who are putting their money where their mouth is and creating an asset class called equity, which has been missing in 140 crore people.
Sir, as you said, Indian markets have outperformed recently, and in fact in the last 5 days Nifty is up almost 2.5%. Now this comes at a time when there are any fresh triggers for the market. In fact, crude prices have been rising, which is a dampener for a net importer country like us. So what's driving, sir, the optimism in the market, sir?
So, always remember, markets are very, very more learned than all of us together. All the macro and micro and oil and gas and bond yields, markets know very well all that. So you will keep not you, generally all the analysts will keep wasting their time on what the reaction should be. Markets will chart their own course. India is no longer that 30-year back that crude will go to 100. I remember when the Ukraine crisis broke out, we went to 120 and they said it's all gloom and doom. Well, we are in the best place ever. We are a power surplus country. Our current account deficit is at the best. Our reserves are very, very stable. Yes, high oil prices are going to be a little bit of a dampener. But remember, growth in global markets is the harbinger for that is going to be oil. Oil is a growth catalyst, not a growth retarder. If there is high demand for oil, it shows that there is growth. Now, in the short run, the rupee and the pressure on the oil companies will be a part. But who cares about that? Mahindra, Maruti are seeing the best sales ever, and it tells you that there is a waiting list in autos. Even though crude prices are at record highs, we are seeing no let up in the consumption play. So you will have to divulge yourself from discarding the macro and micro and watch the price. Bhau Bhagwan che.
Right. Okay. We'll keep oil separately. And you're talking about the fact that India's macro fundamentals are absolutely fine. There's nothing to worry about as far as the markets are concerned. That point is also taken. But what if I were to talk about the triggers that have been affecting markets in the recent past at least, which is the US Fed rate hike? We have another US FOMC meeting that is slated to happen in the next 10 days or so. And then markets, apparently, some analysts have already factored in a 25 basis point rate hike in the US already. Global interest rate scenario will certainly impact the Indian markets going forward, Mr. Bhasin.
Well, that is well known. It's been 1 year since the Fed had lost credibility. In 8 months, he went from 0.5 to 5%. And who got damaged? 3 of the US banks failed, and the big behemoth Credit Suisse. So yes, high inflation is a negative, and interest rates rising is a negative. But I beg to differ. I think the RBI has handled the monetary position, the FX, the bond yields and the rupee very, very stably. And the Fed now is not going to raise rates. In fact, he will be on hold. But the problem is that, yes, rising yields are not a good trigger. And that's why you're seeing the volatility in the US. But I think it's a passing phase. There is divided opinion in amongst the Fed members on the, how much, how long they were going to hold rates. But I definitely think September they are going to hold rates. There's going to be no change, and then they will take it as per data comes. You must also realize that their raising of rates has brought down inflation from 9.5 to 3.5. So you cannot expect miracles of 2% coming overnight, but holding the rates here will be very, very good, because the US economy has startled everyone by being very, very resilient even in the face of high inflation and high rates. So we'll have to watch out for more data. But in the meantime, the demographic premium for India will stand out, and that will be the best market globally, at least now and in the near future till the elections.
So, to your point, as you said, you don't expect FOMC to raise interest rates, but at least some analysts, at least what we are reading, are expecting a rate hike. And I just want to understand that, does a increase in food and crude prices, which are historically known to be extremely volatile, warrant a rate hike? Because core inflation, sir, as a matter of fact, has largely remained in the range or has not exceeded the expectations.
Look, like I said, I concentrate more on stock prices, the earnings and the macros. You are right. This is what economists do. That's why luckily I didn't follow any economist, and I'm handsomely made money, and my clients have made money. You can read my lips. On the 1920 there will be no rate hike. A. B. Food and oil go hand in hand, and you've seen a control on that, but it was exchanges because of the supply chain disruption, the problem with Ukraine and so on. A large part of the logistics has been done with. You cannot expect a mild recession to not trigger off a problem in most of the other European market, which it has. But look at the underlying. Apple is back to $3 trillion. Microsoft is on the verge of $3 trillion. The Nasdaq almost scaled new highs, and that 3-day correction is very, very healthy for the market. On the other hand, you have India, which is outperforming and at the cusp of festive season, where you can't get tickets to in airports. Railways are running fine and markets are doing well. So there is a thin line between macros and the markets, and that is what is being played out now. Money is sitting on the sideline and wants to buy stocks, and that's why the retail flows are the ones which are driving the markets. And we'll again chat when there will be no rate hike, and we'll see 20,000 by 20. Call me on
Fair
that
enough.
day.
Fair enough. We will keep you. We'll come back and talk to you. Hope you join us, on that day again, and then we'll have the conversation again when your predictions go right. But in the meanwhile, I have to ask you. You're talking about the slowdown in the European markets. Let's go sector specific as far as Indian stock markets are concerned. IT pack has been under pressure because of what's been happening in terms of recession in other markets in the US and Europe, affecting their own order book. Talk to us, as IT sector, it's a blue chip sector in India, has been under pressure. What would be your outlook?
Well, like I said, there is a discerning way of analyzing stocks. Mid cap IT are hitting new highs. LTIM, Persistent, Coforge, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, five stocks I've named which have hit 52-week highs. And I've been a proponent of them from 1 year. Secondly, we all know that AI and higher rates are negative for IT budgets. But you know, Indian IT has matured and they've understood the markets very well. Nowhere have you seen a let up in the guidance. So I think that if Nasdaq is going to new highs, it is ignoring most of the macro weakness, and Europe to some extent is being priced in. But the biggest caveat is that the tailwind for the IT sector is now the weak rupee, which will add to margins. And I think business will be even more better as we get a tailwind on the, we get a consolidation or a stalemate on the rate cut, which I'm very sure is coming this month. So there will be no rate hike, and that will ease the pressure. And then we'll see how budgets play out. But in the meantime, select IT mid-cap stocks are hitting new 52-week highs.
Sir, as you just mentioned, rupee has been weak. In fact, yesterday it fell to a 10-month low. And this comes at a time when India is outperforming most of its developed and emerging markets on most economic metrics like growth, when it comes to growth, the stock market returns. So why is the rupee under pressure, sir?
Well, you've seen that there is a strength of the dollar, which has come back from 98. It has scaled 104.5. The dollar index is showing you that if rates are going to be higher, then the money will be back in dollar-based assets. But it's a temporary storm. For India, the RBI has handled the rupee very, very well, and they are letting the real effective rate, exchange rate, be more weak, because that will give an impetus to exports. As you are aware, we have been mostly a domestic consumption market because of the global slowdown. But if the rupee starts to weaken, it gives an impetus to pharma, IT, and the other sectors which are export oriented. So I think RBI has played it well. Yes, 83, 83.20 may be the top, and that could be for some time till we get more news on the Fed, rate stance.
Sir, just a follow-up question on rupee only. I was just reading a survey before walking into the studio, which suggested that rupee will trade near its very close to its historic lows in 6 months. And in fact, most analysts, like nearly 1/3 of the analysts, expect rupee to touch a new low in a year's time. Now, do you agree with that outlook?
Why are we wasting our time over 1 year? And analyst expectations go all over. You should have heard JP Morgan in January of 2022, they upped the IT budget and they said IT stocks are outperformers. And in September of last year, they said IT is the biggest underperformer. The IT index peaked in January and made a bottom in September. So don't go by foreign brokerages. I don't want to name anybody, but they are just selling their, their whole macro picture. World doesn't move in that. 1 year rupee is a very far picture. We have the elections and so on. And I don't want to go that far out. I am talking of hitting new highs in September, and that's what you should be looking for.
All right.
You should be giving more incentive and more courage and more conviction to stay put and buy good stocks.
Sir, talking about hitting new highs and your expectation of Nifty soon hitting the 20,000 mark, what sectors will drive that rally?
Yeah, so I think Reliance is poised for a comeback. It has seen the balancing of the portfolio after Jio. I am very, very bullish on ICICI Bank. Metals are in their own, space where Tata Steel, Hindalco, Jindal Steel all have hit new highs. IT is revving up, and you have the whole consumption play which is doing well. But I think Apollo Hospital, Reliance, Grasim, ICICI, these are my 4 large cap top picks, and I think they will lead from the front towards 20,000.
For those investing in the indices per se, Sensex and Nifty, be it mutual fund investors or
fund investors.
For them, what would be your outlook on Sensex Nifty from here on for the rest of the year?
By the way, Coal India and L&T have hit new all-time highs. Coal India is up 33% in the last 6 months. So not even 6 months, 4 months. And that's telling you that the left out feeling as far as energy, thermal, Coal India was to trade at 12-13% dividend for years, 90, 95, 100. And I used to tell people that you can't go wrong in this stock. And today that whole thermal power avoid has played out brilliantly. So my call is that stay put 50% in large caps at this time and 30% in mid or small caps, or choose your mutual funds which have a good exposures, maybe some to the PSU basket. But Nifty and the Nifty Bs and the bank Bs are the best instrument to play. If you ask for stocks, like I said, IGL, GAIL, Concor are three, and IX and IRCTC. These are 5 PSUs which I am very bullish. I have done my research in them and I think they are excellent businesses to be in. The other 4 picks which I mentioned, Apollo Hospital, Reliance, ICICI and Grasim. If you made a basket of these stocks, you will do extremely well. But again, I reiterate, consult your RM, take a position, try and ask. IIFL Securities does this. We have one of the largest broking houses pan-India on retail, and we'll advise you to how to manage your money and diversify your asset classes. But doing a SIP with good mutual funds is the way forward. In the near term, there will be plateauing of returns, but longer term wealth will be created.
Sir, one final question from me, since we are talking about sectors. The banking story, banking index had not participated in the recent run-up. I just want to understand your outlook on the banking story.
Well, look, there is an RBI, meet, and there is some talk about what the RBI will be planning. But like I said, banks are in the best place ever. When did you see PSU banks hit all-time highs? And I think that the underperformance of Bank Nifty was more to do with the plateauing of HDFC Bank after the merger. I am very, very sure that will now start to add. In fact, today the Bank Nifty was an outperformer. So Axis, ICICI and some of the smaller names, particularly the likes of IDFC First, RBL Bank and the PSU basket are looking extremely good. We are at the cusp of the festival season where credit will expand at the fastest pace. Consumption is raring to go. And I think that all the spaces, entertainment, travel, tourism and real estate, because mortgages are seeing a new revival. All these are very, very good harbingers for the bank Nifty itself. And I think from here, the Bank Nifty will also scale new highs in this month itself.
All right, we will leave it at that. Sanjiv Bhasin, Director, IIFL Securities Ltd. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on Business Plus on News 9 Live and giving us all that wisdom on how to invest in India's stock markets. Fantastic having Mr. Sanjiv Bhasin, don't you think, Suyash? Interesting commentary coming in from him. A lot of contra calls, especially when it comes to oil.
Definitely. Contra calls regarding oils, and one of the things that he said that Nifty is on the verge of breaking out of that 20,000 level. Now Nifty hit the previous record high of about 19,991, just 9 points shy, Krishna, of that 20,000 mark.
Right.
And according to Mr. Bhasin, it can not only scale 20,000, it can go up to 20,200, 20,300 levels. And the drivers of that leg of run up will be the PSU stocks, which, as we have seen, have given fabulous returns in a year's time. Most of them, a lot of them, in fact, have turned multi-baggers. So that is a story I think will be something that we'll look out to.
And of course, we're going to look forward to that big decision from the US Fed, which according to Mr. Bhasin is not going to be that big a decision. He's saying that the rates will be held and not hiked. But of course, we will get to know in about 8-9 days from now whether the US Fed is hiking interest rates, and then consequently what will happen to India's stock markets. But at the end of the day, the contra call even on India's IT pack was interesting, because we've been talking here on the show about IT being a laggard in the rally. Especially we're talking about a $775 billion bull rally in the last 5 months. And in which, as you pointed out, there is the banking stocks which have sort of sat out the rally, and so have technically the IT stocks which have been consistently under pressure. But the fact of the matter is that the way forward seems not as rocky as we thought for the IT pack, especially depending upon whether it's a mid-cap IT or a small-cap IT or a big-cap IT.
So the problem with the IT pack was that the headliners, the bigwigs of the IT pack were not not really performing well, at least as they have not been performing or participating in the rally in the last 2 or 3 months. But IT mid-caps space is buzzing, Krishna, and we have been several stocks in that space have hit 52 weeks high, as Mr. Bhasin also pointed out. Now the big wigs or the big behemoths in the IT pack are also playing a catch-up rally, as we are seeing that their order book, which was a concern because the expectation was that discretionary spending from their US clientele will take a backseat, and BFSI segment, which is a major contributor to the big IT companies, will defer their discretionary spending. But now, as we are seeing, there is no major trigger, at least as far as the US banking story goes. So it seems that all is returning back to normal for the companies.
Right, and one other big story is definitely, whatever happens, the consumption story of India and stocks related to the consumption story. And strangely, when we talk consumption story, we would normally talk FMCG stocks. But then again, now you have the pharma stocks, coming along with FMCG stocks as great defensives. People looking to invest in the stock markets, either through mutual funds or in stocks, should definitely look at whether their funds or their portfolio involves pharma stocks at this stage. Dr. Reddy's, you name a pharma stock, it was even part of Mr. Bhasin's top 5 picks.
And at the time where we are saying that pharma stocks have given good returns, but we also need to understand that a lot of these stocks are trading at exponentially higher levels. So a little bit of a concern that I would like to flag, that maybe in the next 5-10 days or in the short term, the pharma stocks may take a backseat, and contra bets such as the IT pack, such as the banking sectors may come in the forefront and help drive markets higher.
Right, driving markets higher is what we're looking at. But Suyash, really, the way trading has been for the last couple of weeks, you can't expect a big breakout rally anytime soon, at least now, isn't it? So does this then make a good lull period to sort of take positions?
That could be a very interesting, actually a very interesting outlook, Krishna, because last week what we saw that Indian markets were on almost a 6-week losing streak, but this week we saw the markets of bulls returning back to action, and as a result Nifty is almost up 2.5% in the last 5 trading sessions. Now the problem is that market is lacking direction, but from what we are getting from our analysts and the guests on the show is that stock specific or sector specific action is likely to take precedence going forward. And as we are seeing a churning of sectors. First it was the FMCG space, then pharma stocks and IT stocks. Now banking stocks are moving back into that bull run phase.
Right, banking stocks moving into the bull run phase. But if you take a look at the day's action, you had everything from media stocks up as well. Talk to us from just the day's trading session, anything that stood out really apart from the usual suspects we discussed. You're seeing the Nifty media pack up over 1% as well.
Nifty media was up over %. Realty was another sector which saw good returns today, 1.5%. And as I mentioned also in the earlier part of the show, that oil companies saw a big bounce back. Now this could be a good thing for the investors who are invested in these stocks, that we are not seeing a major impact of rising crude prices on these companies, despite them being a net importer country and their input costs going up. So at least from what I understand, the expectation is that the crude prices may not sustain at higher levels, and we may see some sort of a correction in that regard.
We might see a little bit of a correction in that regard. Suyash, I just want to understand, if somebody who's looking forward to tomorrow's trading session, what can we look forward to? What are going to be the big triggers for markets tomorrow?
So that's anyone's best guess at this point, Krishna, because the markets have been so volatile recently. Even we saw the India VIX, which tracks the which called the fear index, was up about 1.74%, which tells us that the volatility has spiked significantly recently, and at a time when there are fresh triggers for the market, which direction goes largely depends on what side of the trade you are. So if you are bullish, maybe returns could be as we are approaching that all-time high levels, maybe it's time to reiterate your position or your stance over there, or expect some sort of a pullback unless there is a major trigger that can take market higher.
So we are at this stage waiting for major triggers for markets. As somebody who's been so close to the stock markets, obviously investing directly in the stock stock markets and investing in mutual funds are two different ball games altogether. If for those out there, watching us, who a whole majority of them who don't directly invest in stocks but invest in mutual funds and other assets, what is the kind of approach do you think that they should have? Should they go for funds which are investing in blue chips? Should they go for funds investing in, you have balanced funds these days, you have so many options these days, and then the advice comes that actually invest in indices, invest in Sensex or Nifty, invest in those funds, index funds as they're called. What would be your advice to them?
Krishna, that's actually an age-old argument. Where do we go? Active funds, passive funds, both have their benefits. And yes, see, for a person, for an investor who's not really well versed with the markets, maybe taking a passive approach could help them. Passive approach is where you invest in specific indices such as Nifty, Bank Nifty, Nifty IT. Now, this gives you exposure to all the constituent stocks. Also, what helps is that you don't have to pay commission, which will also help you increase your profit percentage. On the other hand, active funds have always been performing and have given good returns for the investors. So maybe investors who are savvy, who know what sectors, what stocks to target and have an understanding of a broader markets, maybe they can look at active funds at this point in time.
Okay, all right. Some wisdom coming in from somebody who's been so close here, so the markets and wonderful, Suyash. So, uncertain times calls for some certain decisions and some firm ways of approaching the markets, be it investing in mutual funds or investing directly in stock markets. So, wishing everybody all the best. But Suyash, it's time to move on here from one kind of business, which is a stock market business, to another kind of business, which is the film business. It's a big day. It's kind of a festival, so to speak, because Shahrukh Khan's Jawan has released to a roaring response in cinemas. Advance booking breaking all records. Opening day collections set to break records. Opening weekend collections set to make records. You even saw the PVR Inox stock cheering the Jawan release this today, up in morning trade at least. But fact of the matter is that PVR Inox did put out details of how many tickets have been sold in Inox multiplex chains for Jawan across the country. If you have the Inox closing, that'll be interesting. But in the meanwhile, if you can check on the closing of the PVR Inox stock.
So PVR Inox today, Krishna, opened almost 2% higher. It sustained on the bullish momentum and was able to close about 1.16% higher at 1847.65 levels on the
over
NSE.
1% up in trade. PVR Inox, fifth all-time high advance booking for an Indian film. Set to be the fourth highest opening for an Indian film at the box office. Incredible numbers. Jawan is set to wrap up and to understand them better, who better than Mr. Taran Adarsh, Indian film critic and trade analyst, joining us live on this broadcast here on Business Plus on News 9 Live. Taran, pleasure having you here. Wonderful talking to you on a day like this. This is a festival, celebratory mood. As a South Indian, I can confidently tell you that this is reminding me of Rajinikanth film releases, early morning shows for Jawan, absolute madness in the theatres with the audience, apparently loving all the dialogues and the action. Talk to us. Are we already looking at something that's going to beat Pathaan straightforward?
Absolutely. In fact, before I just spoke to you right now, I'm speaking to you right now. I was talking to the All India distributor of Jawan right now, and he mentioned that the trend suggests very clearly that Jawan is going to surpass the day one number of Pathaan. Now, Shahrukh Khan is competing with Shahrukh Khan, and Jawan is competing with Pathaan. So it's a big high for the film industry. It's a big high for Shahrukh Khan, because Shahrukh Khan has made a solid comeback in 2023, and this year belongs to him. Call him King Khan, call him Emperor, call him Badshah, whatever, the year belongs to him.
I just have one question to ask you about this collections. Before we move on to talking about the film, I really want to talk to you about the film, Taran, because this is one of a kind Bollywood film made in South India. So before we get to that, I want to talk to you about the fact that, the first weekend of a film is very, very important. In India, any film, the first 4 days are very important. This is releasing on the G20 weekend, where the Delhi national capital, Delhi, is locked down in many ways because of the G20 celebrations. That's another celebration for India as a country, as a superpower, as a global power. But talk to us, how much of a dent could it possibly make on Jawan's opening weekend collections?
Well, I don't think really it could have made a big difference because I guess, yes, of course, I'm not denying the fact that, certain cinema halls are shut in Delhi. But having said that, I feel it has been compensated by other circuits, other places where the crowds are overflowing everywhere. The advance booking, as you just mentioned, is phenomenal, is historic. It is higher than Pathaan on day one. And as I said, I'm talking of advance booking also. And the footfalls are going to be higher than Pathaan on day one. What more could we ask for?
400 crores is what, sir, Indian trade pundits say 400 crores in the opening weekend. What is Taran Adash's take?
It's a bit too early right now to comment on the exact. But I think the Hindi version should go beyond. See, Pathaan day one net box office collections in India, Hindi version. I'm repeating, Hindi version was 55 crores in India. And this could easily surpass that. It might go to 60, 65, 70 crores on day one.
Okay.
It's still, it's not evening yet, and we're still waiting for numbers to come in. So I guess it's going to be, the Hindi film industry is back with a bang.
Right. Taran, I'm going to be watching out for your tweets with the latest updates on Pathaan's collection, which I always do. And I hope, we can put this conversation as well on tweet over there where you predicted the numbers, on this show with us as to what the final numbers are going to be. But here it's getting to the real business of making movies. Bollywood, a star like SRK, taking all of his money, red chilies, his graphics, production, taking it to a guy called Atli, and then Atli using everybody from a Tamil film cameraman to editor to a villain who's Vijay Sethupathi, the heroine Nayanthara, music director Anirudh. This is an entirely Tamil industry crew which has made cast and crew which has made a film for Shahrukh Khan.
Yeah, I beg to differ there. I would like to alter the statement slightly. I would say it's a pan-India film.
Okay.
Let's put a hardcore pan-India film. Yes, with actors from the Tamil industry, those associated with the Tamil industry. Yes, Atli, Anirudh, Vijay Sethupathi, Nayanthara. Of course, great actors all, great talent all, and no denying the fact. But I think it is Shahrukh Khan's superstardom and Atli's South Indian tadka that is really worth.
Oh, absolutely. Magic at the box office.
First day, first show in Mumbai, in Lokhandwala complex area.
Oh.
And believe me, this, we don't hear CTs and talis and that kind of reactions in multiplexes, or maybe it's limited to single screens. But I could hear people screaming, shouting, dancing. What more could you ask for? I mean, I've seen that euphoria. You just mentioned Rajnikant Sahab, the euphoria that Rajnikant Sahab's movies create when they release cinemas. Well, I would say, going back a bit, 70s and 80s, I've seen Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna movies also opening to thunderous numbers, but this is something else. Pathaan is something. Now, Jawan has hit the ball out of the stadium completely.
Right. It is now, right now, if it collects based on predictions, you have RRR, Bahubali 2 and KGF 2 as the top 3 highest opening weekend earners in India. Now, the question is whether Jawan can beat them or will end up as the 4th highest. The predictions now say it's the 4th highest. It will end up as the 4th highest, beating any other Hindi film in history.
It's about the Hindi films. I'm talking of Hindi films because, let's not compare Tamil, Telugu, because this film has not released in Kannada and Malayalam.
Right.
This film has released in Tamil and Telugu, not in other languages.
Okay.
So, when we talk of Hindi, yes. I'm sure it's going to be the number one opener surpassing Pathaan. Pathaan has been overthrown by Shahrukh.
Himself. SRK versus SRK.
News is Pathaan is out of the race from the number one spot, and the good news is Shahrukh Khan has reclaimed it with Jawan.
All right. And the good thing is that this is good old Indian, typical Indian filmmaking, isn't it? It's masala filmmaking, action-packed with great C.T. Maro dialogues, but done the right way, done with the right twists to appeal to today's audience.
I second your opinion. I completely endorse your point of view. This is a hardcore masala film that people want to watch. We had forgotten it. Pathaan brought it back. Gadar brought it back. And now, of course, Jawan. Jawan too has taken it to another level completely. Atli, hats off to you. What have you? I mean, you are a genius completely. I mean, I've never seen Shahrukh Khan saying an out and out marty role ever, the way he's played it in this film. And there's a dialogue which comes in the second half. I don't really want to reveal that, but everyone knows.
No spoilers.
And it was pandemonium in the theaters when the moment he mentioned Baap and Beta.
Every single time.
I can't describe the emotion in the cinema hall at that point of time. I could not hear the dialogue when this dialogue was on screen, when Shahrukh was delivering it at Multiplex in Mumbai at 6:30, 6:45 a.m. in the morning.
Sir, I'm only imagining what, I spent 14 years in Mumbai. I can only imagine what Gaiety Galaxy in Bandra will be like for Jawan, because Lokhandwala is like that.
I had people going there in the morning 6 a.m. shows, and they said they could not watch the film. They could not hear the dialogue because people were screaming all throughout. So they would go to watch the film and see what actually the dialogues were.
Right.
Because there was so much of noise, there was so much of, cheekna, chillana, CTs and talis. It was, people said, itni aawazein kabhi sunai nahi di.
Right. Taran, here is where I want to get your understanding. You, somebody who's seen this industry, you know how a mass film works because you check the numbers. You know whether people have endorsed a film or not. Talk to us about what it is in Jawan that really got it right. For a star like Shahrukh, who has just delivered a huge hit like Pathaan, and then here the reviews coming out say that Shahrukh Khan has never been packaged in an avatar like this ever in his career. This is probably his greatest avatar because multiple looks. You have 7 different looks for Shahrukh in this film, and I'm being told every look brings the house down in the theatres.
Absolutely. And when the, sorry, I don't want to reveal much, but when the elder person comes in and oh my God, it's at the interval point, and I can't tell you the interval block has been received so very well by the audience in India. Also, I wish to say that, you just asked me a very, very pertinent question as to what really has clicked with Jawan. I would say one important factor. This is not a mindless entertainment. There's in the film that this film intends to, and not just one message, but multiple messages. And I think that is what has really worked with the audience. Here, adulation, I could hear these CTs and talis and these when he was delivering those lines which was making a statement on the kind of the environment today. And I think it really is a very important film. It's a very important masala film, yes. It is. It comes with several messages packed in it.
Right, and that's essentially, I'd be proud to say that's essentially a Tamil factor because they like packaging in social messages in big, massy movies. And the point here is whether it can be done well for the taste of the Hindi audiences. And looks like Atli has, sort of read the tastes of the Hindi audiences, and also Anirudh's music. So much I'm hearing about the background score, of Pathaan being absolutely rousing.
Absolutely. I mean, the background score is, how do I put it? Full mark? No, I would say distinction mark for the background. It's so good. Anirudh is an absolute genius again. And imagine all these forces coming together. Atli has had a huge responsibility on his shoulders because Shahrukh Khan after Pathaan, Shahrukh Khan in any case is a superstar.
Yeah.
To present him the avatar. Imagine the kind of risk he was undertaking.
Oh gosh,
but
yes.
Him, oh my God. And the poster that I just saw him wearing red shirt and dancing in a song. I think, kya kehne? What? I mean, this is what Hindi cinema is all about.
Yeah.
It's all Hindi cinema is all about. It's about celebration. It's about going to movies and watching it with hundreds of people. Perhaps you don't know most of them, and yet you are rejoicing, you're celebrating, you're clapping, you're crying. The kind of emotion that you experience on screen, you're experiencing it yourself while seated there.
Right. Just one thing about collections. Shahrukh has been, when he launched the music of the film in Chennai, he was talking about how he wants this film to be, taken by the South audience, the Tamil audience, Telugu audience as their own film. And now this is Shahrukh's proper pan-India play because Pathaan wasn't much of a hit in the South. There's a good chance that Jawan could, undo that and be that Shahrukh film that becomes a very good hit for a Hindi film in the South.
Absolutely. You are 200% right. This could open new doors for the Hindi film industry in the future because tomorrow a lot of producers would be planning films not only with the Mumbai stars, but also with the Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, the other industries. And, it could open newer horizons. It could open newer doors. And, as I said, this is just the beginning.
Yes.
Shahrukh has the way. And let's go forward now.
Beautifully put, sir. Just the beginning. Shahrukh has shown people the playbook. Get the right team, put the right movie together, have the right faith in the right team, and the results are there for everybody to see. Rapturous results for Jawan and movie screens on day one. Taran Adarsh, one of the foremost names of understanding India's film industry, telling us, we are hearing it from the horse's mouth, as it were. Taran, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on Business Plus and News9 Live. I'm looking forward to more updates and hope you tweet our conversation along with your Jawan box office updates to show how your predictions were right even before they came out. Thank you so much for joining us.
So much. Thank you very much.
Right, and with that, we have completely run out of time here on this edition of Business Plus. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off. Keep it with News9 Live.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.
The Baloch armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan, and give Baloch complete authority to decide for themselves.
The Baloch feel that if they don't act now, they will become marginalized.
What lies ahead for Balochistan?
Balochistan, Bangladesh 2.0, streaming now.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly saying that Imran Khan is a better choice.
Imran Khan may have bitten a bit too much, more than what he can chew.
Implosion. This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आपका अदानी जी से रिश्ता क्या है?
He has given the space, the railways, the airport, which he has no experience also. So the country's interest has been compromised.
Government has been very clearly supporting few industrial groups, including Adani's industrial group.
Target Adani, streaming now.
The host city is my constituency, and all the beautification work which has been done and which you can see all around, especially in New Delhi. I'm grateful that Lieutenant Governor has personally supervised many things and brought in so many corporate households and others, and from Delhi Can Board to Transport Ministry, Delhi Government, PWD, CPWD. Everyone has been brought together, strung up their efforts to revamp Delhi, and you see those beautiful sculptures, etc., around most corners. Those have come from CSR funding also. So a lot of private people have come forward to support the cause, and of course, Government of India has spent whatever Government of India has spent, which is few thousand crores on this. Hosting this particular event, which is of great importance to this country from two perspectives. One, G20 presidency has come India's way for the first time. India's been the host for the first time. Secondly, This is one event of this scale where all the heads of states of 20 most important countries and 9 other countries who are special invitees are going to descend on Delhi on one particular day. So this huge paraphernalia which works with some